What's up everyone, Murph here. We are doing the truck camping and bow hunting public land in southern Minnesota. We're underneath a underpass right now, so you might hear some cars. It might be kind of loud, but it's pretty windy today and it's been flurrying, snowing a little bit, so just trying to get out of the elements here for this intro and to have a little lunch here. Like always, we got the good old truck camper, nice and cozy. Stove, just making some food here for lunch. Was out this morning. It was super cold, super windy this morning. It rained the last about 2-3 days here, quite a bit of rain. So just got out, wanted to get a lay of the land, see if any was affected by flooding, and I haven't been down here in a few years. Right now I'm actually in the parcel I shot my first ever deer. So that's pretty cool to be back here. We got 8 days to get it done to fill this buck tag here. I'm an inexperienced hunter, but I've done most of my hunting in Minnesota and then some in Wisconsin. Only my 5th year bow hunting, only my 4th year of having success. Only shot 3 bucks, but from what I've seen in Minnesota, there's not nearly the amount of deer that I see when I go to Wisconsin. There are some really big bucks, but there is a high population of people around here and a lot of hunters. Gun season was last week in Minnesota. I'm gonna be going to a bunch of archery only parcels to get away from the pressure a little bit, go to places that haven't just been bombarded with guys blasting every deer. It's gonna be cold and windy the first few days, and then it's going to be pretty calm and still cold. Cold I don't mind, the windiness kind of makes it crappy to be out there, and the deer don't seem to move too much, but hopefully we can get it done here within the first 5 days would be great, but we have 8 to play with. Like always, going over the truck camper really quick. Got plenty of videos on this, but bed, fridge, propane for little pull-out kitchen for a camp stove, and then we got another pull-out with a bunch of gear. And this trip actually we're going to be running the diesel heater. I got it going right now because I'm gonna take a little break in the truck and kind of dry it out. This thing is awesome. It's only going to be in the 20s, low 30s at night, and so I don't really need this, but it makes it a lot more comfortable, and it keeps the condensation down in the truck cab, because it gets pretty wet in there in the mornings, especially when it's this cold. You can kind of see all the condensation from last night from me sleeping in here. After running this for a few hours, this will be completely bone dry, and especially after tonight, it'll be all dried out. I'm gonna hunt this parcel today, tomorrow morning. I was out this morning. I hunted for a little bit, just got it around, and then got up in the tree for about 2 hours, and it was just really cold and nothing was moving. And I have a good corridor that I want to sit in for tonight and tomorrow morning, and if I don't see really anything in these 2 nights or these 2 sits, then we'll move on to another piece and maybe come back later in the week. It looks pretty good, but it's definitely just a place that deer travel through. Really good scrape that I'm going to sit near, where all of these open, thin corridors of open trees come together. But there definitely is other hunters that have been moving through there. There was a couple tree stands in there, but where this scrape is kind of off towards the edge of the property boundary, near a swamp, right near just fantastic bedding. So I'm gonna sit there the next few days and see if anything comes out. Okay, up in the tree I set up earlier today, about 1:30 now, 3.5 hours to sit. I think the pressure is gonna be rising the rest of the evening. I hope we see some deer. Hopefully we got a nice buck coming through. I used to hunt over there about 300 yards. A guy had a camera, I checked. This was like 4 years ago. Back then, I didn't think there was any big deer around here. I was just learning hunting. I was just trying to shoot 8 deer, and there was 2 absolute giants over on that camera. A huge 12-point, like 160-inch deer, and then a big, like 140, 150-inch 10-point. So there are big deer around here. There's not a ton of rubs around here. I've never found lots of rubs, but I've found a fair amount of scrapes. There's a big scrape over there, a big scrape back behind me on the trail I came in on. Down behind me, you can see this beaten deer trail. That's right downwind of me, but I'm expecting them to come from that way. There's bedding over there, or that way. There's a bunch of bedding over there. Behind me is the way I came in. There's not much bedding. It is a travel way. gonna be able to shoot them hopefully before they just bust out of here. Gonna bundle up and try and stay warm here for a few hours. Hopefully something comes by. Back in the truck. Just had some dinner. I got the diesel heater on, heating this truck cap up real nice. Ended up snowing for a decent amount of the night. We got about an inch out there. I saw a small little 4-point buck, just a little fork that came in north of me. Could have shot him. Obviously that's too small, but in a week from now, I probably will shoot something like that because we don't have a lot of time left to hunt and the meat is number one. But anyways, I left my sticks and platform out there. Was gonna go back there in the morning. I hiked in and at the parking lot, there was just some guys just messing around, some kids just being idiots. So I decided to hike back out, get my sticks and platform, come back and move to this new parcel. That area I was at, I haven't been there for over 3 years now, but it used to be this secluded, hidden little spot, kind of in the middle of nowhere, and now there's like a full city right near it. Ton of apartment complexes that went up in the last few years and there's just a ton of people around now. So that's not really what I come out to camp and hunt around. So decided to move. Gonna get up tomorrow and just hike this whole area, scout it out, find a spot to hunt for the evening hunt. If I don't find anything great and I don't see anything great in the evening when I hunt, we'll move on to the next piece and we'll just keep on doing that. Just hunt in the morning, scout around, hunt in the evening, and keep doing that. Bounce to new pieces if we need to. And yeah, that'll pretty much be the trip, and hopefully we get on a buck. All right, day 2. It's about 1 o'clock now. About to make some lunch and then head to my spot for the evening. Only gonna hunt about 2.5 hours. There hasn't really been much deer movement lately, except for that last hour of the day. I found a pretty good spot. I'm just in a random area right now on a dirt road next to a highway. Just gonna eat lunch and kind of go over a lot of my gear and stuff I got in the truck here. Okay, first we'll do the diesel heater. I ran the diesel heater last night. This is just a cheap Chinese diesel heater. I was plenty warm. Ended up waking up and taking my shirt off at one point. Just one blanket in there. Keeps it about 60 degrees on the lowest temperature. I had this, as far as fuel, you can see this is where the fuel line's at now. I had it topped off, so it was just above what you can see here, up here, and now it's there. You can see you could probably safely get 3 nights out of one tank. I think it's like a half-gallon tank, but I just top it off every night anyways. As far as food that I bring, this is an 8-day trip. I bring enough for 7 to 8 days. So we got these 3 containers. They're pretty big containers. They're all like casseroles, main meals. Important to have these for dinner, and it's nice to have at least 1 or 2 of these be something you can eat cold, so you can throw it in a smaller Tupperware and bring it out in the field. But we just got like a chicken noodle mushroom bake, potato ground venison cheesy thing, and then a beef noodle and tomato stew. And then for just random meals out there, hard-boiled eggs, great thing, great go-to. I got these power balls, I kind of call them. Throw up a recipe really quick, but super calorie dense and full of protein and fat. So these things fill you up really, really nicely without needing a lot. Then here, this is the same thing, super fat and protein, calorie dense. This is a bunch of cans of sardines, all smashed up with a cup of homemade mayo that I make myself, so it's a lot healthier than the store-bought stuff. Mix that all up. You can put salt, pepper, hot sauce, whatever you want in there, then throw it on some bread with some cheese. It's a really good, similar to a tuna sandwich, but a little healthier, less mercury, and I really like that. And then I just had like some extra protein pancakes, another calorie dense thing that I just had an extra of, so I threw them and brought them. Good little snack. Then for my bag, I didn't go over this in my last couple trips because I knew I was getting this new one, but this is brand new. It's a Kuiu Venture 2300. I got this thing 50% off. I've seen it discounted pretty much all the time, so it ends up being like $110, which is really good for a good hunting bag. Most of them, if you see, are a couple $100. So I'm really happy with this, only using it for a few days now, but it's not too big. I strap my platform to the outside, and then the sticks I strap 2 aside. You could do 4 on one side, but I just like it that way. I got my saddle in the bottom, just because in the main compartment up here, this thing slides all the way open and opens up. I have my nice suit, I have my bibs and my jacket for when it's cold, so I usually hike in with it off and then put it on before I hop up in the tree. Really comfortable backpack system, and then it goes around the stomach to a bunch of pockets, and then the water system also that comes down and clips nicely on here for when you're hiking. Plenty of room for all my gear. It ends up, when I'm really loaded down, gonna go out for a full day, which I'm not right now, it ends up at about 30 pounds. If I'm doing smaller trips, like just going out in the morning or evening, it's about 20, 25, depending on how much food and water I bring. So yeah, that's kind of the gear and the setup. The food's really important, kind of overlooked. I like to make everything beforehand, and then I can just hunt and scout whenever I'm here. I don't have to worry about cooking food. I just heat stuff up. Went a really long ways around a huge archery only parcel today, and then another parcel. I'm not sure if this is archery only, but I'm pretty sure it is. This one's overlooked. Found some interesting stuff here. Might try this, might not. What I found for today looks decent. Went a long ways, was finding some other hunter sign, but eventually did find some fresh scrapes. Found a lot of scrapes, not a lot of rubs, but I did find a couple rubs, a couple nice ones. In Minnesota on public land, I see very, very few rubs ever, and when I do, they're just your small little rubs. But I have seen bucks before. I don't know if they just don't rub much around here. I don't think there's a ton of bucks, so I don't think they rub as much. But I ended up finding this area that was just crazy thick with overgrown with buckthorn, with tunnels all through it, but small, so not like your tall stuff where you walk through and then there's thick grassy area around it, and then oak trees mixed in. Lots of trails out there. Pretty much I didn't see any hunter sign out in the area I'm finding. So I'm gonna slide in there tonight. I went the whole downwind side of this area, so I think we're good. It's just looks like there could be deer bedded all over in there, everywhere. Pretty good little sized area. Not too far from the parking spot either, which is nice. Looks very overlooked. Looks like crap to get through, so I'm sure not a lot of people are getting in there. But we're gonna slide in the tree. It's gonna be close quarters tonight, and we'll see what happens when we're out there. Back in the truck now. Didn't see anything. Nothing moved. There was a lot of racket going on from some industrial stuff around the area. It wasn't good. Didn't really like that parcel all that much. There was nothing that was really made me think, yeah, I need to hunt this area. I'm sure if I went around there and stayed in some spots for days and days, I would see some deer, but not interested in doing that. I'm gonna hunt a small little spot tomorrow that I scouted out just before going and hunting this evening. So we'll see how it is. Day 3, about 2:30 now. The morning in that hit or miss spot was a miss. Nothing moved. It just sucked. It wasn't good. So was driving down to this other piece that was about 30 minutes south of where I was. Decided to stop at this random piece that I knew of that didn't look that great, but was driving by it and I could see there was a bunch of cedars on this property. So I was like, I don't get to hunt cedars much, but whenever I do find them, there's a ton of sign. They look pretty good. So I'm just gonna scout it out. It was early, still like 11 o'clock. Got out here, started scouting around. Holy cow, there's a ton of deer sign here. This is just a cedar and buckthorn jungle. Honestly, it's like really thick. It's a really hard place to hunt. It's an archery only parcel. I can only shoot 20 yards around me, except for one side I can shoot far, but it's open field. I don't think there's gonna be deer out there. Moving through all this jungle, it's just like tunnels down there. No real trees you can get in. Every once in a while there's one, but you're gonna have very small windows. But I was finally seeing some bigger rubs, some nice rubs, a lot of scrapes, some very fresh scrapes. and I actually found a small buck that was dead. Looked like it's been at least a month or 2 old. Probably got shot and ran and someone couldn't find it. Cut the antlers off that thing and I'm gonna use them to rattle. Been waiting for an opportunity to either find some sheds or find a dead buck that I could get some real antlers off of for some rattling antlers. This is the perfect place to call and rattle because of how thick it is. Up in my tree now, 2.5 hours to hunt. Gonna cover this for at least 2 or 3 days. We'll see what happens. Day 4, last night, didn't see anything. This morning, got into a spot that looked pretty good for deer movement. Right as I got set up, a little bit after, a guy walks in behind me, and I whistled and flashed my light at him. He saw me and decided to literally just sit on the ground right there at the base of a tree, like literally 50 yards from me. So I was like, what the hell? This guy's an idiot. I'm just gonna stay here anyways because his wind was coming right to me and then my wind was going off into a field. Eventually 2 does after like an hour came in and they were about to work right past me and probably right past him, but they stopped and literally stared right at him for 5 minutes and then ran off into an open field and ran. And I was like, well, this is stupid. I didn't realize he was on the ground at first either. I was like, this is dumb. Like, any deer that comes by is just gonna do that same thing. So I got down. You can literally just see him sitting there. Like, I don't know why he thinks he's gonna shoot a deer. You can literally just look and see him. Anyways, he came over to this other spot that's really thick. A lot of trails through here. A lot of deer sign. It's gonna be hard to shoot. I'm in a very small tree, only like 12 feet up. But I have only a couple lanes. One here, and one over here. And you can see how thick it is. We'll give this a couple hours. It's 9 o'clock now. And then we'll find a good spot for the evening sit. Okay, evening sit here. In that spot, I ended up having heard a small buck shortly after I did the intro. And then I grunted and I had him come right underneath me. He walked by and he was like 7-10 yards away, looked at me, then just kept walking, kept looking around for what grunted. I was hoping it was a big one, but it was just a little spike. Then crossed this little marsh into this little area in front of me. This area here looks phenomenal. It's a super thick, like just tunnels underneath, super thick cedars up top. I'm in a cedar right now that was open on one side. Someone had trimmed it a few years ago, it looked like. I got like a 5-yard shot on a beaten trail right here. And then I got like 30 yards out this way that I can shoot. There's does out in the field like 300 yards away. So hopefully deer are moving. I only got an hour because it took me so long to get up here. And I was pretty loud, not gonna lie. So not expecting much, but we'll see. Okay, just finishing up a little scouting mission here. Last night, didn't see any deer. Well, saw those deer off in the distance, but then heard some deer moving around where I couldn't see in the thick, right where I was expecting them to come out of. They didn't end up coming out. They went the other direction. But that's okay because the direction they went is where I'm gonna hunt tonight. It's where I saw that little spike buck. Hunted this morning out where I saw those deer. It was a big open area. So I was hoping I could just see it just super far, which I could, and see deer, but didn't end up seeing anything this morning. But scouted out another spot. Looked pretty good, but definitely a guy or two going in there and hunting. Got a ton of area cleared out, which is nice because it's super thick, but looks like he's been hunting there for a few years by the age of the cut branches. But yeah, saw some great sign on the way in, like unbelievable rubs, gigantic on the way in where you can hunt, but of course. But gonna eat some lunch and then get out there tonight. 3 more night sits. They've been moving right before dark, and then I had them moving that one morning. So 3 more night sits, 2 more morning sits. Hopefully something happens, but if not, I've learned a lot. Okay, I'll set up where I saw that little buck. I really like the look of this spot. I hear a lot going on when I'm in here. This is just the center of all of this bedding, and I think this is kind of where they feel safe moving all through this area that I'm in. I'm gonna hunt here tonight and tomorrow morning. We'll see what happens. Day 6, didn't see anything last night. Heard something. I think there was a deer out over there in the long grass at one point, but hard to tell with the wind. Been up here for about an hour in my tree. We had flurries last night. We're having a little flurries right now, much colder and windier. Supposed to get sunny this afternoon. Hopefully something comes through this morning, but if not, this afternoon to evening should be pretty good. Okay, nothing this morning. Heard what might have been some deer a few times out away from me, but it's really hard to see. That place is super thick, so I can't really see very far. Set up in that area where that idiot came and sat on the ground over here. That guy wasn't just a jackass for sitting right there in the middle of this open lane, but this is a good area. There's some scrapes over here. There's a massive rub that I didn't see before over here. And this whole parcel kind of funnels from over there. Everything funnels right by me, right here. So I'm feeling good. The sun finally came out. It's sunny and cold and a little bit of wind. So I think they should move this evening pretty good. And then tomorrow morning is supposed to be really cold. So I'm gonna sit here again in the morning. We got 3 hunts left in this trip, so down to the wire now. It's crunch time. Gotta get something done. Day number 7. Just getting down out of the tree. Grabbed that camera that I set earlier when I got to this piece. Checked a couple days ago, had nothing on it. If I do see anything, I'll throw those pictures up right now. Otherwise, you can assume that nothing was on it. This morning, I had a small fawn come through. When it was coming in, I couldn't tell how big it was at first. It was really small, and then I thought it was kind of sick or like mangy looking. But then when I got closer, I saw it was kind of just starting to lose its spots and get its adult fur. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but that's what was happening. Worked around for a while, bedded down, that was it. But pretty crappy trip as far as deer action. If you hunt public land in Minnesota, throw a comment down below and let me know how you think it is, how you've done, what your experiences have been, because I've hunted here the last 5 years a lot, gone all over, hiked in deep, gone in shallow, and I just think it sucks. Honestly, I've never seen a buck that was a shooter, nothing over 2 years old. I've seen one that was maybe a 2-year-old, the rest have been spikes. This trip, 7 days, saw 5 deer, and 3 of those deer were in 1 day, so only saw deer 3 out of 7 days, which is pretty terrible. And I went to 5 different parcels, and some were big, some were smaller, but pretty crappy. So sorry that we couldn't get a better video with some more deer action or some kills, but thanks everyone for watching.